when you're in the beginning stages, trying to figure out how do I move to mastery of investing behavior, early on, you just have to do something.
Well, this is the part, and I've already alluded to this, is that 20-somethings are already billionaires of time. And if you understood how valuable that component of time was, you wouldn't sleep on it. But so many Americans, I think they come out and they get their first job and they say, you know what, but rent's expensive, groceries are expensive. I'll wait until I'm in my 30s before I pick up this mantle of building financial independence and investing.
Yep.
It'll be okay. And I'm here to tell you, $25, $100 a month, which doesn't seem like a lot, just that automated behavior of doing something is going to have huge results. And probably it's going to be the thing that your 50, 60-year-old self is going to have those sloppy tears of excitement for, just because you made a minor, very minor decision back in your 20s. So choose your heart. You can either, take a little bit of today for that great, big, beautiful tomorrow, or you can defer, procrastinate, and it's just going to require more and more from you.
You just said something so beautiful right there. The key is to start doing something, and then how do you make sure that you continue doing that thing? You automate it. You put systems and processes in place so that you can't screw it up. Okay, if I'm going to save $25 a month, what I'm going to do? I'm going to have that come out of my paycheck every single month on payday before it ever even gets to my checking account. And if I can do that, I'm likely going to set myself up to begin replicating and recreating that behavior over and over and over. And what that allows you to do is move from the beginner status up to the advanced status. And once you get into the advanced status, this is where it gets kind of exciting, because this is where you recognize how powerful saving and investing 25% of your gross income.
Well, remember, in the beginning stage, I was just trying to get you to do $25, $100, because I knew it was to tell you to save and invest. 25% of your income would just be like, oh my gosh, that's aspirational, but that just seems disconnected from reality. We get it. But if you want to know the science or the math behind why do we come up with and tell everybody when you get to advanced, you want to be at 25%, if you go to moneyguy.com/resources, we'll actually show you the intersection points. Is that, of course, if you start saving and investing in your early 20s, 10% can do tremendous good for you. But unfortunately, the typical American does not discover the wonderful world of finance and the power of compounding interest until their 30s. And you very quickly will realize, if you go look at our deliverable here, the 30s is going to probably require you to save and invest 25% of your income.
And then as we're thinking about being at the advanced level of investing behavior, one of the things we want you to recognize is that time in the market is so much more valuable than timing the market. You've already made the hard decision that I'm going to do something. I'm going to start investing. I'm going to start putting my money to work. But the other half of that equation is you have to recognize that part of being able to be a successful investor is giving myself a long enough timeline to actually stick with it. It's great that you start investing today, but what's even better is when you continue investing for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And far too often we see someone start so strong. They get excited. They hear this like, oh, $1 turns into 80. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start. And then all of a sudden life happens and it comes in and, oh, I'm going to decrease my savings rate, or I have this other goal, or I'm going to shift, and you never get back on. And all of a sudden a year goes by, and then 5 years goes by, and then a whole decade goes by. And what you do not recognize is, holy cow, the time I missed out on was so, so valuable. So if I want to master, if I want to get to the advanced level and be able to think about moving towards mastery, I have to actually be in the market. I have to actually have my dollars working for me if it's going to be successful.
Well, the stick with it has to be strong for you to be successful. And I've talked about on several shows, that first 10 years is probably going to have 2 downturns. And a lot of people will just quit. They either sell their investments or they'll quit investing any additional funds and they'll just leave with what they had. That is a trap, guys. And if you want proof, we have this saying, we say, when in doubt, zoom out. Is because if you go look at all the crazy historical stuff for the reasons why you shouldn't stay invested, but you see it on the grand scale of what's happened over history, you can see that if you just stay with it and just always be buying, as we constantly talk about, your future self will be rewarded. The all-time return, if you go back, is 17,000%. So you have to add zeros to that because we've already put the percent on there for you. And that takes into account the Black Mondays, the .com, the Great Recession, the COVID crash. All these things are built into this analysis. I'm just telling you, you don't have to try to choose the winners. Just buy the market. There's so much opportunity out there, and then stick with it. Your future self will be so happy you did.
Now, you may be thinking, okay, guys, saving 25%, that must be mastery. You guys mentioned that in advance, but that has to be mastery because you've already acknowledged that saving 25% will get me to financial independence. I can get there if I implement that behavior, but we actually have a belief that money is nothing more than a tool. So if you really want to master your investing behavior, it's not just about the mathematics. It's about understanding what is it that my dollars can do for me? What is the life that I ultimately want to live? And so, yes, saving and investing 25% is part of the process. But what we really want you to figure, once you get to the mastery level, is, okay, what is my number? What's the level of assets, the level of wealth I need to achieve so that I can live life on my terms, so that I can do what I want, when I want, the way that I want to. And that matters a whole lot more than how many zeros are there. So understanding what your money can do for you and investing in such a way to move towards that goal is how you begin to master the investing behavior side of the equation.
Well, so much in money. Look, we can give you the basic ground rules, but there is going to come a point, and this is why it fits into the mastery. It's somewhere you're going to need to know, are you ahead of the curve, behind the curve, or right where you're supposed to be? You could be somebody who started saving young, but because you want to leave the workforce in your early 50s, that's going to require you to save even more than this 25% we're talking about. You might be somebody that's caught fire now, but you're in your early 40s, and unfortunately you just didn't know about money until your 40s. You're going to probably quickly realize, hey, I need to know my number to know, am I doing okay with just where I'm at? And then there's even, let's go with the optimist. What if you were spot on, you had some success in your 20s, you've been crushing and you've been hyper saving, but then you get in your 40s and 50s and you didn't know your number? You might be doing life in a minimal way when maybe you need to be, it'd be okay to expand your lifestyle. That's why know your number is going to protect you from all those scenarios.
Yeah, and when you do that, you get to find the balance where not only am I focusing on this like long-term, far-dated goal of financial independence, but if I'm doing this well, I can also begin to hone in on some of these other abundance goals. Maybe it is saving for the kids' college, or maybe it is giving charitably, or maybe it is traveling different. Maybe it's these other things that once I understand what my number is and I can match my behavior to achieve that, not only do I only get to focus on the one goal that's all the way down the line, I get to focus on all the goals between where I'm at today and that point and begin to use my money and use my dollars to allow me to hone in on the things in this life that really, really matter.